If I don't call you tomorrow, something happened to me. I'm not being dramatic. I'm scared. His name is... I can't say it. I can't. Just look in the shed. Welcome to True Crime Chronicles. The call came in at 9:17 p.m. on a Friday. A missing persons report. A woman named Karen Blake, 41 years old, had not been seen in 48 hours. Her car was still in the driveway. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Her sister filed the report. The police assumed it was simple, a voluntary disappearance, a woman leaving a bad marriage, case closed by Monday. They were wrong. What they didn't know, what no one could have known, was that Karen Blake was already dead, buried beneath 6 feet of dirt in a field she had driven past every day of her life. And the man who killed her had already confessed to a different crime in a different state under a different name. The case went cold for 14 years until one detective found a single forgotten detail, a detail no one had thought to check, a detail that reopened the entire case and exposed a killer who had been hiding in plain sight. This is the story of how one forgotten detail changed everything. I'm your host. This is True Crime Chronicles, how one forgotten detail reopened the entire case. Karen, it's Diane. Open up. I know you're in there. Karen? Diane Meeks had not heard from her sister Karen in 2 days. That was unusual. Karen called her every morning at 7 a.m., every single morning for 15 years, rain or shine, sick or healthy. The call always came. On October 12, 2008, the call did not come. Diane drove to Karen's house at 1423 Willow Lane, a modest 3-bedroom home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Karen's car was in the driveway, her purse was on the kitchen counter, her phone was on the nightstand, but Karen was nowhere to be found. I knew something was wrong the second I walked in. The house was clean. Too clean. Karen was messy. She left dishes in the sink. But that day, everything was spotless. Even the trash had been taken out. Karen never took out the trash. That was her husband's job. Detective Sarah Cross arrived at 11 a.m. She was 38 years old, 12 years on the force, and had never worked a missing persons case that turned out well. She had learned to trust her gut. Detective Sarah Cross. The husband, Daniel Blake, was calm, too calm. He sat on the couch with his hands folded. He didn't pace, he didn't cry, he didn't call anyone. He just sat there and said, "She left me. She does this sometimes. She'll come back." Daniel Blake was 44 years old. He worked as an accountant. He had no criminal record. He had no history of violence. He told police that Karen had been depressed lately, that she had talked about leaving, that he had tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. Daniel Blake. I loved my wife, but she was unstable. She threatened to leave before. She took cash from our joint account, $3,000. Check the bank records. She left on her own. Detective Cross checked the bank records. Daniel was telling the truth. $3,000 had been withdrawn 2 days before Karen disappeared. The ATM footage showed a woman in a hoodie. The face was obscured, but the height and build matched Karen. The case looked simple. A woman, a withdrawal, a departure. Case closed. But Detective Cross could not shake the feeling that something was wrong. The house was too clean. The husband was too calm. And the ATM footage, the woman in the hoodie walked with a slight limp. Karen Blake did not have a limp. Detective Cross. I asked Daniel about the limp. He said Karen had twisted her ankle the week before, but I called her sister. Diane said Karen had no ankle injury. That was the first lie. It was not the last. Detective Cross brought Daniel Blake in for a formal interview. He arrived with a lawyer. He answered every question with a single word or a shrug. He did not ask about Karen. He did not ask if she had been found. He asked only when he could go home. Detective Cross. Where were you on the night of October 10th? Daniel Blake. Home. Asleep. Detective Cross. Can anyone confirm that? Daniel Blake. No. Karen was home too, until she left. Detective Cross. What time did she leave? Daniel Blake. I don't know. I was asleep. The interview lasted 45 minutes. Daniel Blake did not slip, he did not stumble, he did not confess. He simply waited. And when his lawyer said the interview was over, he stood up, straightened his tie, and walked out. Detective Cross had no evidence, no body, no weapon, no witness. She could not hold him. The case went cold. For 6 months, Detective Cross worked the case alone. She interviewed neighbors, she searched the house twice, she combed through phone records, she found nothing. Karen Blake had vanished as if she had never existed. The missing persons case was officially closed 14 months later. Karen Blake was presumed dead. No arrest was ever made. But Detective Cross did not forget. 7 years passed. Detective Cross was promoted to cold case unit. She worked unsolved homicides, missing persons, and unidentified remains. She had a wall in her office covered with photographs of the forgotten. Karen Blake's face was in the center. Detective Cross. I never stopped thinking about her. Every year on October 12th, I called Diane. Every year, the answer was the same. No body, no arrest, no justice. But I knew Daniel Blake killed her. I just couldn't prove it. Then, in 2015, something changed. A body was found in a shallow grave outside of town. A construction crew had been digging for a new housing development. They found a woman's remains wrapped in a blue tarp. The body had been there for years, possibly a decade. Forensic anthropologist. The remains are female. Approximate age at death, 35 to 45. Height, 5'4". There is evidence of blunt force trauma to the skull. This is a homicide. Detective Cross's heart stopped. Karen Blake was 5'4". She was 41 years old when she disappeared, and the location of the grave, a field less than 2 miles from her home. DNA testing took 8 weeks. The results came back on a Tuesday. Detective Cross. It was her. After 7 years, we had her. But the body alone was not enough. We needed to prove Daniel did it. And that's when I found it, the forgotten detail. Detective Cross reopened the original case file. She read every page, every interview transcript, every lab report, every photograph. And then she found a single line in a forensic report that had been filed 14 years earlier and never revisited. The report was from the initial search of Karen Blake's house. An evidence technician had noted that the master bedroom carpet had been recently cleaned, not vacuumed, cleaned, as if someone had used a carpet cleaner. The technician had written, "Small section of carpet near the bed appears to have been treated with an enzymatic cleaner. No visible stains, no further action taken." I read that line 10 times. No one had followed up on it. Why? Because the case was ruled a voluntary disappearance. No one thought to check the carpet for blood. But enzymatic cleaner is used for one thing: removing biological evidence. Blood, urine, vomit. Someone cleaned something off that carpet. Cross requested the carpet sample from the evidence locker. It had been stored for 14 years. She sent it to a forensic lab that specialized in cold case DNA analysis. They used a new technique called MVAC, which can extract DNA from porous surfaces even after cleaning. 6 weeks later, the results arrived. We found trace amounts of human blood in the carpet fibers. The DNA matches Karen Blake. But that's not all. We also found a second DNA profile, male. It matches Daniel Blake. Blood on the carpet, Karen's blood, and Daniel's DNA next to it. That was not an accident. That was evidence of a violent struggle. But Cross still needed more. She needed to know where Daniel had taken the body. She needed the tarp. She needed the weapon. She went back to the evidence log and she found a second forgotten detail. In the original case file, there was a receipt from a hardware store dated October 11, 2008, the day after Karen disappeared. Daniel Blake had purchased a blue tarp, a shovel, and a bottle of bleach. The receipt was in the file because Cross had requested it years ago, but no one had ever connected it to the murder. Detective Cross. I almost screamed. A blue tarp. The body was wrapped in a blue tarp. Daniel bought a blue tarp the day after Karen vanished. That's not a coincidence. That's a confession. Cross obtained a search warrant for Daniel Blake's current home. He had remarried. He had 2 children. He lived in a large house with a white fence. He was a deacon at his church. He coached Little League. The search took 6 hours. In the garage, behind a stack of boxes, investigators found a shovel. It was old, rusted, but forensic testing revealed trace amounts of soil that matched the field where Karen's body was found. Forensic geologist. The soil on the shovel contains a rare mineral composition found only in that specific field. There is no other location within 50 miles with the same geological signature. Daniel Blake was arrested at his home on a Sunday morning. His wife watched in her bathrobe. His children cried. He did not resist. He did not speak. He was charged with first-degree murder. For 8 hours, Daniel Blake sat in the interrogation room and said nothing. He stared at the wall. He asked for a lawyer. He refused to answer questions. Then, at hour 9, he spoke. She was going to leave me. She had a bag packed. She had money. She had a place to go. I begged her to stay. She laughed at me. She said I was pathetic. She said she never loved me, not once. In 15 years, she never said it. I pushed her. She fell, hit her head on the nightstand. There was blood, a lot of blood. She was still breathing. I could have called an ambulance. I could have said it was an accident, but I didn't. I watched her die, and then I cleaned the carpet. I wrapped her in the tarp. I buried her in the field. I went home and went to sleep. Detective Cross, why now? Why are you telling me this? Because you found her. You found the tarp, you found the shovel, you found the carpet. There's no point anymore. I'm tired. The confession was recorded. It lasted 47 minutes. Daniel Blake described every detail of the murder, the cleanup, and the burial. He showed no emotion. He spoke like a man reading a grocery list. The trial of Daniel Blake for the murder of Karen Blake began 3 years after his arrest. The prosecution presented 18 days of evidence: the blood on the carpet, the DNA, the shovel, the soil, the tarp receipt, the confession. The defense argued that Daniel Blake was a broken man who had acted in the heat of passion. They asked for manslaughter, not murder. They said he had suffered years of emotional abuse. They said he was sorry. He is not sorry. He is sorry he got caught. He had 14 years to confess, 14 years to give Diane Meeks the right to bury her sister. He did not. He bought a new house. He started a new family. He coached children. And all the while, Karen Blake was rotting in a field. That is not passion. That is evil. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Jury foreperson. On the charge of murder in the first degree, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Judge. Mr. Blake, you took a life. You hid that life. You lied for 14 years. You made a family grieve a ghost. I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Diane Meeks finally buried her sister on a spring morning. The grave was next to their mother. Diane spoke for 10 minutes. She talked about Karen's laugh, her terrible cooking, her love for bad reality television. She did not mention Daniel Blake. Diane Meeks. I waited 14 years to say goodbye. 14 years of wondering, 14 years of nightmares. And it was one forgotten detail that brought her home. One line in a report, one carpet sample, one detective who refused to forget. Detective Sarah Cross retired from the cold case unit 5 years after the trial. She keeps a photograph of Karen Blake on her desk at home. She told a reporter, "She is why I do this job. She is why I never close a file until the truth is found." Daniel Blake is incarcerated at a maximum security prison. He has filed 3 appeals. All have been denied. He will die in prison. The house at 1423 Willow Lane was sold. The new owners do not know what happened there. The carpet was removed, the walls were painted, but some stains, the neighbors say, never really go away. Epilogue. Karen Blake. If I don't call you tomorrow, something happened to me. I'm not being dramatic. I'm scared. His name is... I can't say it. I can't. Just look in the shed. Police searched the shed. They found nothing. Not because Karen was lying, but because Daniel had already cleaned it. He had removed every trace of her, every trace except one. The carpet. One forgotten detail, one line in a report, one detective who read it twice. That is how the case was solved. That is how justice came. 14 years late, but not a day too late for Diane. Not a day too late for Karen. You have been listening to True Crime Chronicles. This was how one forgotten detail reopened the entire case. No continuation, no open threads, just a story, a closed file, and the quiet truth that sometimes the smallest thing matters most. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and remember, the smallest detail can change everything.